Hello, Samadan here. Now, you might know me from my gold making and occasional Minecraft videos, but today I'd like to talk about another passion of mine, which is drawing. Now, I've been drawing pretty much all my life, as long as I can remember, but then there's been gaps between sort of several years, perhaps sometimes, where I haven't been drawing, and I want to tell you a little story about how I went about drawing for 60 days and how that improved my skills as an artist. And perhaps if you're interested in drawing yourself or improving your drawing, you could use this as inspiration or motivation to start your own journey in drawing or continue your own journey wherever you are. So this particular segment all started back in 2015 when I was about to get myself a Wacom Cintiq Companion, which is one of the drawing tablets with a screen on it, which is also a laptop. Now I was fortunate enough to be able to get this through work, so I used this as a motivational point. I said to myself, right, okay, I'm getting hold of this piece of kit and I'm going to start drawing every day for 60 days and see if I can improve my skills as an artist. So what I'll do here is I'll take you through all the drawings I did day by day, and you can see the progression as I went through, and I'll talk about what things I focused on, what I learnt at the various stages, and how things like this can improve us as artists, and we can explore what we might be interested in drawing or where we want to go further with this. So let's start drawing number 1, Viking croquet. This was my first attempt at drawing from my imagination, and I didn't have anything in mind. I just started drawing. I think I started with the actual croquet mallet itself. You can see here my perspective skills aren't brilliant. I've been drawing figures before from imagination. It's quite a tricky skill, and it's not something that I've practiced a lot because it takes not only imagining what you're drawing, but you also have to think about skeletal structure, proportions, and perspective, and then all the other things like line quality. So it's quite an ambitious start. But for me, it was just right, let's just start drawing. I'm using Photoshop here, just using a thin pencil brush, nothing too fancy, and seeing where it took me. Now, each of these drawings, I didn't really set myself a time limit. I just did what I thought I had time for on that particular day. So this was the first drawing. It's reasonable. You can see it's kind of like a Viking. You could maybe refine this idea further, clean up the lines and what have you. But this was the start of just trying to work out what it is I wanted to draw. So day 2, looking at this Iguana Eye, I believe I probably looked at a photo of an iguana here and thought, okay, let's do some nice details. I always like dragons and animals, so let's try and just draw something from reference. Here I've focused on the eye. You can see quite a lot of details in there with a rough sketch all around it. I didn't really have a great deal of time on this one, so I don't think I developed it any further than this, but still, pen to paper, day 2 complete. Now, day 3, I really didn't have time. I'd run out of time, and it was the end of the day, and I said to myself, right, okay, look, you've set yourself this target, and you're not going to give up on day 3. That would just be ridiculous. So I think I literally just spent 5 minutes on this, just at the end of the day. Right, you've got to draw something. Come on, you can do it. And so I just did this quick scene of a Kraken attacking a boat. It wasn't really going to go anywhere, but it was... The key thing here is, even if you're not motivated, even if you're not inspired, still, discipline yourself to put pen to paper and just start something. Doesn't matter what, just start, just get the momentum going. So for that one, I was quite thankful for. Then day 4, a little bit more photo reference with a little bit of imagination with Mr. Tentacle there, and Crabby, just working out outlines and trying to see how the pen felt. You can see I've got a bit more sort of softer lines here, trying to work out my own particular style. You can see here on the tentacle, I'm thinking about line quality, sort of nice heavy outline there, and then finer details on the inside. So it's all part of the thought process, exploring where you're going next. Now, this was an interesting one. I'd watched a wildlife documentary, all about bones. I think it was The Secret Life of Bones, and it had a cheetah in it. And I thought, oh, this is brilliant. I love this. And so what I did here, you can see this is quite a lot more detailed than my previous drawings. So A, I spent a bit more time, and B, I believe I traced around the outline of this as a screenshot from the program. So just to get the proportions correct, and then I went through and did some shading. You can see just a little bit of line hatching really for the shading, trying to work out the proportions and everything. So I was really pleased with this. I thought it was quite nice. So I went and developed this further. And so day 6 on this, I thought, okay, how do the muscles fit on this? Because this is one of my interests, is both animals and B, the actual animal anatomy and how they work. I've always been kind of interested in that area, so I'm not too pleased about the face. I think that was a little bit rough there, but just trying to work out the muscles and things. You can see I've got the skeleton behind there, so just working out the outlines and where the muscles might lie. So next day I took this further and finished the sort of the skin with a rough scribbly brush. I tried a different brush here for the fur just to try and get the general shape, and you can see a little bit of soft shading here. And this is all still in Photoshop, nothing too fancy, trying to just explore what I had available to me really, and just get used to drawing on the tablet. So already by day 7, the first week done, I was quite happy, and I'd already, you can see, I've got a direction towards animal reference. So that was what I was focusing on. Now another day, frilled lizard eye. Again, probably not too much time on this. You can see just a very, very loose outline, and then trying to detail the eye a bit more there. Trying to work out how to get those details with just the brushes I've got. Sort of not really playing too much with the different Photoshop brushes here. Just trying to think about soft brushes, hard brushes, pencil brushes, and seeing what I can do with that. Just kind of trying it out more than anything else. Then I thought I'd mix things up and do something again from imagination, and this time using a mid-tone canvas and doing both dark and lights, trying to get some detail. So I worked on this a fair amount, not really thinking about it too much, just thought of a general face. Actually, from imagination, I was quite pleased with how this turned out. Maybe the cheeks and the face don't quite line up, and this eye's probably a little bit too small and forced perspective. Not sure this ear should be here, but you know, this is just trying it out, just trying to think about, okay, how are these brushes going to work? How can I use a soft brush to do the highlights here? Do I do little highlights here? I'm basically just exploring more than anything else. The lips I thought came out quite well. I was quite pleased with those. Now this was a nice day 10. I'd gone to the zoo and actually brought the tablet with me because it's also a laptop. Some live outdoor sketches whilst I was there. So this was a combination just like working fast. This leopard wasn't staying still very often, and so it was a question of just working as quickly as I could, observing, looking down, looking up. So this is a really good test and exercise of the skills, just trying to work out how everything's positioned and the weight of the animals and its proportions. I did a second page of this on the day, some other animals, penguins, monkeys and gazelles and things. Really, really nice day out, quite enjoyed that. And then the next day, following on from there, so I'd had some photo reference, and I started thinking, okay, well, let's draw some more of these animals. This was a lemur I worked on a little bit more. Again, you can see this is really quite rough, quite loose, but I'm working on trying to think about proportion, scale, and how my quality of line and my shading works. A gorilla that I had a picture of from quite a while ago there. Really love gorillas in terms of like their wrinkled faces and everything, and really focused on trying to get some of that line texture here on the face and make sure the eyes were staring right at the camera, and then working looser further out for the fur. So I think that was quite a successful one, that. And then again, you can see the trend here. We're doing animals mainly. This wolf, I don't remember. I think this is probably photo reference. It looks like it should be. And then I think I was quite pleased with the way the sort of like the fur and the weight of the paw coming through on this rock. Again, if you're using photo reference, then as long as you've got the proportions right. And a lot of these I wouldn't necessarily trace the outline, but I would work side by side with the picture to one side and the drawing canvas on the other side. That way my eye doesn't have to travel far, but at least I'm doing my observing and transferring the proportions from one to the other, because then I'm trying to look at negative space and where one thing lines up with another. So then day 14, tried something completely different here. Tried a bit more of a painterly style. Had an elephant picture here, so thinking about painterly brushes. Again, I hadn't really thought about what I was going to use in Photoshop here. Just trying it out. Just, okay, well, I don't know how this works, but let's give it a go. What kind of marks and colours can I make? And what kind of image can I create from this? Sometimes it helps to just free up your mind and just try something different. Now, I hadn't done birds much before. I had this lovely picture of a bald eagle, and I'm not too happy with the way I did the feathers here. I think that kind of gives the impression of feathers, obviously, but it's very simplistic, and I think the smooth shading in between doesn't really lend itself to the overall shape. I think the face worked out quite successfully, though, in the claws. Now this one was fun. A long-legged fox. I think it's called a strand wolf. I'm not sure. Really liked its pose on this one, and the elegance of the legs. And then I thought, okay, well this looks like a Pokemon, so I did a Ninetails version of it, which I thought was really cool. Now again, flipping things up, trying something a bit different. It's a bit of life drawing here. This is my son. I drew, not really sort of concentrating too much, just thinking line quality and getting proportions right. I don't think I really did this justice, but you can see where I was at least trying here. And that's the thing, not everything's going to be successful in a perfect drawing straight off. It's about time and practice. That's what it is. It's not about talent or skill. I don't necessarily believe in talent. You may have a predisposition to doing something more often and a certain enjoyment in something, but this comes down to practice, practice, and practice. And I'm less practiced in drawing people than I am in drawing animals, and I'm even less practiced in drawing from my imagination. And I think it shows in my drawings here. You can see here, this red panda I drew from imagination, and you can almost see it's inside a box, and I'm trying to work out the perspective. All the legs are perfectly lined up, facing one direction in a parallel line, because I'm not sure how to place these. And so it's a very unnatural seating position. I couldn't work out exactly how the legs work and how it sits down. So I knew roughly how a red panda would look, but I don't think this is really a good representation. Now, this is a changing point for when I started my drawings. I thought, okay, I'm going to spend some more time on these drawings. This is day 19. So I'd done the rough outline, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to spend some bit more time on this, and I'm going to really work into the fur. And so I just had a little pencil brush in Photoshop, and I was working on not just on trying to get the marks of the fur down, but the direction of the fur, and using the soft and the hardness of the pressure sensitivity to try and just get a bit of nice shading and variation in there. So I just really focused on one area here on the eyes. And so the next day I carried it forward, day 20, and worked on the drawing a bit more. So just working, noodling through that fur, just going through, just doing little dashes. You can just see, if I zoom in here, you can see here it's just little dashes of pencil lines, and then just doing all the darker areas here. So really working on that. And then obviously next day I got a little bit, I was getting more inspired by this. I could really see it taking shape. Wanted to make sure I thought about the fur in different areas. So you've got the short furs down here on the nose, the softer ones under the cheek, and then the more ruffled ones here under the neck. And I started thinking about, my own pet cats and things like that, where you really look at their fur. So you start to try and bring that in and try and imagine the fur. So this, for me, this is like, okay, this is what I love doing. I love big cats, I love drawing animals, and I love fur, and I found a technique that really worked well with me. And so I finished it off, and I was really pleased with how this worked out. I thought it was a really big progression, 22 days later from the start of where I wasn't sure where I was going, experimenting. So I thought this was, okay, I'm getting somewhere here, 22 days later. So I thought I'd try it again, a different creature, different type of fur, and I think I upped my canvas resolution here to like A3 rather than A4. That in hindsight was a mistake, because this took ages to work on. So first didn't really have a lot of time, so I just worked on a very quick outline. Next day mapped out all the stripes and everything and worked on the fur of the face. If we zoom in here, you can see it's obviously a lot more detailed in terms of trying to get the fur out, and I've got a bit of shading here for all the different sort of the soft areas, and the way the nose cavity sort of has a little hollow area here. But this was quite a mammoth task in the end. So that was the first day, and then second day didn't get very far on that, day 25. And then I think I rushed through this last one. Spent obviously quite a bit of time getting it done. It's okay, there's the shadings kind of there. It looks a little bit flat in areas. You don't see a lot of highlights at the top, but the patterns are there and the fur's there. Probably if I worked on this a little bit more, I could probably do another layer, take this outline off, and then try and work on some highlights and shading, maybe a little bit of an environment in there. But it was good, but I learned a few lessons on here. One was my canvas size, and two was actually short fur takes quite a while to do. So I went and did something a bit more loose and a bit more freeform, trying to get it done in one day, day 27. Again, I love gorillas, so this was a photo I saw somewhere, I can't remember when. Really wanted to get that facial expression nailed and the teeth and the mouth. So something a little bit more dynamic. And then carrying on with my love of cats, really want to focus on the eyes on this one, kind of get those highlights in. Again, you see it's really rough, really just sort of like scribbling around, just trying to put marks down on the paper. This isn't spending a lot of time on these. Changing things up a little bit here. Different animal, got a stag, but nice magnificent animal, trying to work out how all these antlers connect together and all the different sort of curvature and things like that. It's really nice with the Wacom Cintiq because it is also a touch tablet. You can use your fingers to rotate the canvas, so that was really nice for being able to draw all these lines at the right angle. Then I thought day 30 I'd mix things up, so we're coming up for a month here. I thought I'd do another more ambitious project. This time, rather than fur, we're going for scales. So I had a nice high-res picture of an iguana here, so I thought, okay, let's have a look. How much detail can I do? And then I started, you can see here I'm experimenting with different brushes, different patterns. I think I downloaded a brush pack off the internet. I think it was Sagino's brush pack, which was really nice. And just trying different mark making. How can I get these scales done in a different way? Because obviously this way was taking a long time. And so I tried to block out this area with mottled effects, bit of shading, trying to represent the scales. I actually came up with a brush myself. You can see this scale mark here that is patterned throughout. So I actually drew a small area away of scales and then used that as a stamp over this area, adjusting the brush size as it went. It was relatively successful, I would say. Just trying out a different technique again. Always keep your mind open, experiment with things. Don't necessarily get stuck in the same thing. So we're coming up with just over a month now of drawing, and I've got the lizard complete, so starting to get quite a nice portfolio of work together. Day 34, do something a bit more quick and freeform and get a nice dynamic pose in here. This cheetah stretching away, sort of trying to get those faces. You look at the face here and compare it with that first cheetah I did. You can see I'm actually getting a bit more used to expressions and things, and making use of my sort of photo reference and trying to get the core details down and being a bit more free with my shading here. Again, this was a bit of a fun one. I can't remember where I got this picture from. Again, just thinking light, shade and form here. So just really roughing out the details here. Real sense of weight with this kangaroo lying down. So this is where you can see I drew the lines just to try and get an idea as to how the body lies. And this, you can see here the shoulders being propped up on this shoulder. I think it really kind of sits him down. Again, this isn't from imagination, this is from photo reference. So I'm trying to encapsulate those key features of the animals that I'm trying to draw. Another dynamic pose here. Really love Servals, how they pounce on things. I think I drew this mouse freehand, but the Serval itself bouncing down I thought was a great pose. And one of my favourite animals as well, a hyena. I don't think I really did the face justice on this one, but managed to block out the shape. Got a real sort of scruffy nature to this one. And then something else a little bit different. A little monkey that I had taken a photo of. This was not very successful in terms of the fur, a little bit scrappy. These lines are kind of give a rough idea of the fur, but I didn't really give myself a lot of time here. The thing you can see I worked on more was trying to work out these hands, such tiny little intricate hands, work out how they're placed and where the fingers were. Now this one was obviously a bit more from imagination. I've been playing some Magic the Gathering with my son, and so this Leviathan creature I came up with, I think the basic whale shape I had reference for, and then I embellished it. I'm thinking, okay, let's do some like alligator-y type teeth, some extra eyes, and some cool looking fins and things, and some tentacles off the bottom of the chin. So just kind of letting my imagination go a little bit more wild on this one. Trying to work on my fur details a little bit better on this meerkat. We're at day 40 now, so obviously this is a key meerkat pose. Don't think this is quite proportional right. The eyes are a little bit weird and the face here, but I've got the general pose. Okay, their arms do look kind of strange when they're standing up here. They're kind of broken as they stand down there, but I think that kind of got the general idea, certainly. And one of my favourite big cats, obviously the lion. A little bit rough, this one, just trying to work out how this fur would work. We're not going back to the same sort of level of detail I did with that leopard in the early stages, but I think, yeah, second day on this, I finished it off a little bit more. Just got the general pose out. Then another one of my favourite animals, African wild dogs, really love their marble colouring. So worked on the face for the first day, then worked on the arms a little bit more. So this is getting more back up to my leopard standard of spending more time on these and trying to work out the patterns and the shapes and everything. And then another day, a little bit rougher here. I think I was rushing a little bit here and then finished it off. So quite pleased with how this came out. Really like sort of the textures and the marbling effects you get on African wild dogs. Could probably have spent a bit more time on this just tidying it up, but really pleased with that for day 46. Again, more animals. You can see here I'm really doubling down on what I love doing, which is animals and drawing. And then I'm just working on improving my techniques. What can I do better? What can I try differently? What other brushes could I use? This is all things I'm thinking about whilst I'm doing the drawing and just having fun more than anything else. So quick zebra foal. Did I finish this off? Yeah, we did a little bit more here and then finished it off. So three days on these. I mean, they're not 3 whole days. These are mainly done during my commute to work. So I take it, this was when I was working in London, basically take it on the train journey and I'd have a good sort of, say, 40 minutes. Not always spent drawing, but I'll get a good chunk of time to be able to just sit down and if I got a table seat, even better, I could just then sketch away. So another animal, got a nice heavy rhino here. Not sure the feet placement works quite well on this one, but really nice outline here. Good solid shape to this rhino, but I'm not quite sure where its feet are standing. It looks like it could topple over. So we're here at, what are we, day 50 now. So I thought, okay, let's finish this off. Let's do something, another big project again. So next big project, a bit like the leopard, this time a tiger. Had myself a really nice photo, a nice high resolution photo. So I started loose outline, and then I usually just focus on the eyes first, because for me they're the windows to the soul. So you can see here, just working on the eyes. Small pencil brush in Photoshop. This seems to be my preferred technique more than anything else. So I've not stepped that far away from my traditional techniques of drawing on paper. So we've got the eyes started and the main outline first, and then I start working in the details. So this is quite a big project. I'm not sure how much time I have each day. Just worked a little bit on a face for one day. All depends on how much time, but I know what my overall goal is here, is to draw the whole thing. So even if I just work on a small area, then I feel like I've progressed. And then so next day is doing a bit more of the face, a bit more than one side here of the ear. So one day I just did an ear, but that was enough. You know, if you don't have much time in one day, then do what you can, but at least you're doing something, you're making progress. We're at day 56 here, so next day I worked on the outline a little bit more detailed, just to make sure I got the foot right, and couldn't quite work out how this foot coming forward would work. So then I worked on the outline of the back. This was quite hard looking at this fur, because we're straight on with the camera here. So these lines going back draw the direction of the fur, and these are very, very little dashes of lines, because obviously it's foreshortened here, it's going backwards. So trying to get that sense of depth and just do the little tiny dashes to get the sense of this fur going off in that direction. Always thinking of the fur direction. So next day is the arm here, and then we finish off day 60 with the full tiger. Then just worked a little bit more on the shading and the overall highlights. So this for me was like, oh, this is what I love doing. I love drawing animals and I love doing all this kind of thing. So that was my journey from 60 days of drawing. What did I learn on this? A, I love drawing animals. I think that much is evident. B, I worked on my technique of drawing fur, so grew in that area. I didn't just stay to one thing though. I did try a few things from imagination. I did try a few different subjects, both people and other things. Noticed no buildings or landscapes or anything like that. It really doesn't interest me. No cars, certainly. So sticking to what I love most. In this case, it's animals. One thing, having the tablet was great. It was learning a new toy really, but this could be just as easily done on pen and paper. It's not the equipment that makes you the artist. those are just things that maybe makes it a little bit easier. I've been doing a lot of, I haven't got this tablet anymore, and I've been doing a lot of my drawings now on paper. I've actually just today ordered myself a new tablet, which is exactly like this one. It's an old second-hand tablet, so I hope to be drawing digitally again very soon in the next few days. So with my Tiger done, I even went so far as to print it onto canvas. You can see here, I've got a printout I did of it. So this is printed onto canvas, and then I roughly glued it down onto a piece of wood which I've nailed together, so it's got a nice frame there, and hang this one on the wall. And you can see where I progressed even further with this. I've got another drawing which again I printed off. So carrying on my big cat theme, I did a cheetah as well, same techniques, just working on the same thing. This one I've embellished with a bit of oil paint on the canvas as well, and varnished the wood behind it. So that's where my art went, just from 60 days of drawing. So this is just part of my journey. I've been drawing loads of World of Warcraft stuff of late. Drawing's a part of me. I find it a lovely way to relax. I'm always learning something new. I'm exploring new techniques. It's all about just freeing your mind and not worrying, oh, this is rubbish or anything like that. I mean, I didn't worry too much about my first drawing. I just got pen to paper and I started working things out. Doesn't matter if you draw a ball or just try and work on something and improve and practice and practice and practice. It's not talent. It's not something you're born with. It just comes down to having a love for it and doing it often enough. So I hope my little story in some way has either inspired you to do your own journey, get started in drawing, or continue your drawing. I mean, like I said, I've been doing this for 40 odd years, and on and off over this. Sometimes I just wouldn't have drawn for years and years and years. Next thing for me is to pick up oil painting again. I haven't oil painted in a good 22 years, so that's going to be an interesting one once I start that. But we're always learning. We're always discovering something more. We're always discovering something about ourselves and developing ourselves further. So please, I hope this has helped someone and given someone the inspiration or motivation to get going yourself. So from me, Samadan, happy drawing, and I'll see you very soon.